What's up guys? Welcome back to 31 Days of Halloween. In this video, I'm going to be going over Coraline's doll, which is from Coraline. And that movie pretty much traumatized me as a kid. And also I found out not that long ago that it's set in a town not that far from me. So, even creepier. Yay. If you want to see how I did this, then just keep watching. To begin this look, I already have my normal foundation and my brows roughly blocked out. If you want to know how to block out your brows, I will link a video right here in the cards. Because I don't want my lashes to be really annoying and brushing against the buttons constantly, I am curling them and adding mascara to hold them in place to help prevent that. So these are shapes I cut out of the side of a tissue box. I just needed a thin cardboard, and this is going to be the base template for our button eyes. So to stick those down, I'm using pros-aide and putting that all around my eye. I'm also putting it on the back of the cardboard piece. When the pros-aide dries clear, you know it's tacky and ready to be stuck down. So in the meantime, dance around and have a good time. Once both the adhesive on my skin and on the cardboard is clear, I am sticking that down. If you don't put it down perfect the first time, you still have a little bit of time to readjust it. So we're going to be working with basically the devil, which is scar wax. You need Vaseline for this, or some sort of lotion. So I'm taking a chunk of the scar wax, flattening out into a pancake shape, and then sticking it onto the cardboard and smoothing it out. For right now, I'm just putting the scar wax on the cardboard and not my skin around it. You will want your hands to be basically coated in Vaseline because you will find very quickly that scar wax likes to stick. Especially when it gets heated up, it likes to stick a whole lot. So Vaseline, in this case, is your best friend. Well, that was my eyeball I just stabbed. It's fine. Once the entire cardboard piece is covered in scar wax, then I'm going in with some latex, laying that down on the edge of the piece, taking a little tiny torn off piece of tissue, putting that down, and then covering that with latex. And I'm just repeating that process all the way around the piece. Not only is it going to help blend the cardboard into the skin, it's also going to give the scar wax something to stick to later on. Then I went back to using the scar wax, this time on the bottom edge of the piece. It's the same principle as before, but instead of doing flat pancakes, I am doing round little worms. As for the side and top of the pieces, they still need to be built up more, so I use cotton and latex. This is just like using the tissue, but it's with cotton instead. So I lay down some latex, put some cotton down, and then douse it in latex. While I don't really care if there is a lot of texture in it, because I'm going to be going over it with scar wax later, I do want the edges to blend really nicely into the skin. So once it's dry, I'm taking a little worm that I made out of scar wax and placing that in those areas and starting to blend them out. The tops of these turned out pretty thick, but they ended up looking like new brow bones, and if you're changing things and shifting things around like this, you're bound to get new brow bones, so I'm not mad at it in the slightest. Once all the scar wax has been applied, I am then going to take a small stipple sponge and just bounce that against all of the scar wax. This is just going to help give it a more natural skin texture and help blend it into the skin even more. So scar wax gets really malleable the hotter it gets, and that can get really messy at times, so to help kind of prevent that a little bit, I'm putting a thin layer of latex over the whole thing. I'm also powdering it to get rid of any shine. So I started applying my normal foundation over the scar wax area, but I realized that it was going to be way too light, so instead I started mixing up a custom shade using my actual foundation and a foundation that is much darker than my own. And this shade actually turned out to be perfect, so if you're putting foundation over scar wax, do a test with your foundation because it might work out, but chances are you'll probably have to go darker. Unfortunately, it took me this long to notice there was a noticeable crease at the bottom, and I couldn't do anything to fix it at this point. My face in the light lights heated it up a ton to the point where if I tried to add any more scar wax, it would have been a huge disaster. So the next best thing I could do was apply a little bit of latex there and hope for the best. It obviously didn't fix the problem, but it definitely improved it. I wish I had known to add more scar wax to the bottom when I was first doing it, but you live, you learn. Now you guys will know not to do the same thing. While that latex is drying, I went and started on the brows. So to do this, I held a button over my eye for reference and then started to map out the brow. Hers are round and kind of straight across without an arch, so I tried to replicate that the best I could. To create those, I used a really soft brow gel. You don't want to use anything that requires you to really drag on the surface because it will pull at the latex and it becomes a mess, trust me. Once the latex was dry, I went in and covered it up with some foundation on a brush. For blush, I was too lazy to go and find my actual blush, so instead I used a really bright red eyeshadow, which actually worked out really well since a doll's blush is typically a lot more exaggerated. So using a light brown kind of taupe-ish eyebrow cream, I started applying the freckles, and on her right side she has 5 freckles, and on the left she has 6. I used a picture for reference on where to put them, and yeah, that's what we did. There were only a couple things left to do for this makeup, one of them being lips. So I applied a nudish, dusty rose kind of color to my lips. I also decided to extend the corners of my mouth a little bit just to make it look like I'm always smiling. The very last thing we have to do to complete this makeup is glue on the buttons. So to do that, I'm applying pros-aide to that inner ring of cardboard and scar wax as well as the back of the buttons and letting them get tacky. Then I am slapping those bad boys on. So that's it for this video. Hopefully y'all enjoyed it. If you did, feel free to let me know down below and subscribe if you want to see the rest of these 31 days of Halloween because it's just gonna get creepier. So, till then, later!